Hello and welcome back to another breaking news update. My name is Jimmy Boyd and you were watching Boyd News. I want to thank you so much for tuning in today. I'm back with some more updates coming out from the war between Russia and Ukraine, and I've got lots of big news to share with you today. So today's date is November 28th, 2024, and it is Thanksgiving. So I hope you're all enjoying your day today. I want to thank you so much for taking time out of your day that you should be spending with your families to hop on and check out some of the news. And I hope you all enjoy your day with your families, eat lots of turkey, and give thanks back and be grateful for what you have today because today is definitely a major day. And I hope you all enjoy it. So thank you so much for tuning in. So we're going to hop into the news here. I've got lots of stuff to talk about with Ukraine today. So Ukraine came under heavy attack from missiles and drones today. This looks like it was a response from Russia. I'll show you guys an article that came out a couple days ago as Russia was preparing a response due to recent ATACMS missile attacks in the Kursk region. We had two attacks. I think there was one that was reported about 4 or 5 days ago, I want to say. In the Kursk region, there was a radar that was taken out for S-400 air defense systems. And then we also had another attack like a day or two after in the Kursk region again, striking the Kalino air base. Okay, so Russia was warning 2 days ago on the 26th that they were going to respond to this. And this looks like this was the response today. So Russia fired at least 97 drones and 91 missiles into Ukraine just earlier this morning, striking Ukraine's energy grid once again. This is a picture coming out from Ukraine that shows damage at one of their electrical substations. So they definitely took some major hits. We have reports of many areas inside of Ukraine that have been targeted, and millions of people without power right now. Okay, so definitely was a very massive hit to Ukraine. I've got lots of information to go over with this today and video footage coming out from Ukraine as well. And also, we're going to talk a little bit more about the Oreshnik medium-range ballistic missile that Russia fired into Ukraine just about a week or so ago. As it looks like Russia is also warning they're going to be using this more inside of Ukraine. And we're going to talk about the warhead that it currently carries and what kind of damage it can do inside of Ukraine if they fully arm this thing. As we know, the last Oreshnik missile that was fired into Ukraine apparently had no warhead on it at all. It was basically a dud. It was just a message to send to Ukraine to warn them that they will start using it. So we're going to talk more about that also, as that's a major threat to Ukraine, and also Vladimir Putin warning that they will strike even inside of Kiev at decision-making centers, okay? So that would mean like government buildings, facilities like that. So this was the original report that came out 2 days ago from Newsweek. Says Russia vows response over ATACMS strikes, preparing actions. Okay, so this was their response, was nearly 100 missiles and 100 drones fired into Ukraine. As you can see here, November 26, 2024 was when this was published. So now we're going to go over the report that talks about the major attack today from Russia with these missiles and drones. So let's hop on over to the New York Times just for a minute. It says Russia launches huge bombardment of Ukraine and signals more to come. Ukraine said the attacks targeted energy infrastructure. President Vladimir Putin said they were retaliation for Kiev's use of long-range American missiles. Okay, so this is supposedly the reason why they carried out this attack on Ukraine's energy infrastructure is due to the recent ATACMS ballistic missile attacks inside of the Kursk region. Okay, so it says here, Russia attacked Ukrainian energy infrastructure with missiles and drones on Thursday in what President Vladimir Putin said was retaliation for Kiev's hitting Russian territory with long-range American missiles. Mr. Putin suggested that such strikes could be stepped up after millions of Ukrainians were left without power on Thursday. Ukrainian officials said Ukraine's energy ministry said it was the 11th major attack on the country's energy infrastructure this year. The total extent of the damage was not immediately clear, but explosions were heard in cities across Ukraine. Many officials reported power outages. 6 people were reported injured across the country, according to the regional authorities. The energy sector is under massive enemy attack again. Ukraine's energy minister, Herman Halushenko, wrote on his Facebook page, the operator of the Ukrainian transmission system has urgently introduced emergency power outages, he said. Okay, so lots of blackouts being reported inside of Ukraine as their energy infrastructure has been heavily hit once again. Looks like Ukraine did shoot down a good majority of these. I'll show you guys that information in just a minute. But nonetheless, there were still some strikes inside of Ukraine to report. So I also wanted to show you this information here too. It says, speaking at a meeting of a Moscow-led security alliance in Kazakhstan. Mr. Putin warned that Russian strikes on Ukraine could intensify, saying that his country has been selecting targets for missile strikes in Kiev, the Ukrainian capital, and that might include decision-making centers there. Okay, so that explains why we did hear just a few days ago as well that Ukraine closed down parliament for the day as they were afraid that Russia was going to launch another Oreshnik medium-range ballistic missile, potentially striking the parliament building. So they definitely are concerned about that, and Ukraine does not have any capabilities to shoot this thing down as far as I know for right now. So that's going to be a big problem for Ukraine. So it says at present, the Ministry of Defense and the General Staff are selecting targets to hit on Ukrainian territory, Mr. Putin said. These could be military facilities, defense and industrial enterprises, or decision-making centers in Kiev. Okay, so don't be surprised if we hear pretty soon that this Oreshnik medium-range ballistic missile gets fired into Kiev, striking some of their government buildings down there. This definitely could be a possibility in the future, as Russia is currently warning about this. And we know Vladimir Putin did come out recently as well, just a day after they fired that Oreshnik missile into Ukraine, that they were going to be firing more of these into Ukraine and testing it under combat conditions, okay? So we will be seeing more tests of this missile being fired, and who knows, they may actually fully arm this thing and start striking inside of Ukraine. And this could be very devastating and a horrible situation for Ukraine moving forward. So let's move on to X now. I've got lots of things to share with you over here. This is from Nexta. The Ukrainian Air Force reported that overnight and in the morning, air defense forces shot down 79 missiles and 35 drones. Russia launched a total of 97 drones and 91 missiles against Ukraine. In the Kiev region, an infrastructure facility was damaged during the morning attack. In the Sumy region, strikes hit infrastructure facilities. In Lutsk, water supply issues arose due to an overnight attack on the energy sector. In Drohobych, I don't know if I'm saying that right, Lviv region, there was also a strike on a critical infrastructure facility. More than 500,000 households in the region are without power. So definitely, for sure, over a million people inside of Ukraine without power right now. It's going to take them time to get power services back online. And it says here emergency power outages may last until the evening across Ukraine today. The Russian army targeted energy infrastructure in the Lviv, Rivne, Vinnytsia, Volyn, Odessa, Ivano-Frankivsk, Klemensky, and Kirovohrad regions. So here's a diagram to show you guys of all the missiles and drones that were shot down. So this definitely was a combination of missiles as well, as we have recently seen from Russia. What they have been doing recently is, for the most part, they just kind of launch drones into Ukraine every day, anywhere from like 70 to 100 drones per day. And they save up their missiles, and then every now and then they launch a major missile attack onto Ukraine, primarily striking their energy grid. That's what we saw here again today, okay? So major attack onto Ukraine. We've got some videos here to show you as well from The Informant. Russia launched a significant attack on Ukraine's energy infrastructure, the second of its kind this month, resulting in explosions and emergency power outages in several regions of the country. Ukraine's energy minister, German Galushenko, confirmed that energy infrastructure was the main target. Ukrenergo, the national power grid operator, implemented emergency outages affecting hundreds of thousands of people in areas including Kiev, Odessa, Dnipropetrovsk, and Donetsk. Previously, Russia had carried out 10 similar massive attacks, significantly damaging the Ukrainian energy system and raising concerns about prolonged blackouts during the winter. In Rivne, 280,000 consumers were left without electricity, and there were also interruptions in the water supply in Lutsk. Services worked to connect critical infrastructure to alternative energy sources. In Kharkiv, a missile attack damaged business premises and homes, while in Sumy, infrastructure was targeted. In Kiev, debris fell on a business, causing minor damage. So as you can see, multiple areas, probably more than 10, 20 areas inside of Ukraine being targeted. We also have a map down here that shows the trajectory of the missiles and drones going into Ukraine. So it looks like we got 3 videos here to show you guys of these incoming missiles to Ukraine, as this attack started early in the morning, leading all the way into the later morning as well, almost into the afternoon in Ukraine. So let's start out with this first video here.
Ебать мой хуй! Типи, я це засняв, нахуй. Це засняв, да, прям так нахуй чітко.
Башня, ось такі як башня.
Це піздець.
All right, so it looks like some Ukrainians working at a warehouse were able to capture what looks like a potential Russian missile that was intercepted and shot down. And if you also notice over here in the background, it sounds like lots of hits taking place. I'm not sure if that's air defense units taking down incoming missiles, but it definitely sounds like lots of hits over there in the background, potentially indicating these Russian missiles striking targets inside of Ukraine. But as you can see, the power, at least in this area, is still online, so that's good for them. So let's hop into our next video now. Okay, just 6 seconds on this video, a quick clip coming out from Ukraine as well. What shows, looks like we have missiles incoming in this area as well. And Ukrainian air defense teams shooting these down with air defense weapons. We can see lots of fire there in the background as well from these air defense teams from Ukraine. So one more video coming up also. All right, we'll go ahead and stop it right there, guys. So this is a very popular video on X right now, which shows a lot of these cruise missiles traveling over somebody's house. As you can see, this is later into the morning, and these missiles were still incoming into Ukraine. So this was definitely an hours-long attack, starting from the early morning into the later morning inside of Ukraine. So pretty scary to see those missiles flying over somebody's head right here. Here's a little map that kind of shows the trajectory of all these missiles. You can see some of them were even coming from down here near Crimea. And a major attack onto Ukraine, okay? Even over here on the western side, once again, closer to Lviv, lots of missiles and drones heading over that direction. So a massive attack reported on Ukraine today. So moving on to another update from Anton Gerashenko. It says yet another massive Russian attack on Ukrainian civilian infrastructure. Russia used several types of cruise missiles, ballistic missiles, aviation cruise missiles, attack drones for the attack on Ukraine. In the Rivne region, over 280,000 people are without electricity, water outages as well. In Mykolaiv, trams and trolley buses are not working today. There are electricity outages. In Lutsk, a part of the city is without electricity. Public transport that runs on electricity is not working today. In Kharkiv, a civilian enterprise was attacked. In Sumy region, infrastructure objects destroyed, a school, a hospital, homes damaged. In Lviv, Lviv region, energy infrastructure objects were attacked. In Odessa, private homes damaged. In Vinnytsia, private homes and vehicles damaged, a woman injured. Okay, so again, lots of information coming out from Ukraine showing massive attacks all over their country. So this definitely was a major attack. Here's some pictures as well. It's from Max 24, debris from a downed cruise missile during the morning attack on Ukraine. Take a look at that, guys. Looks like they were able to shoot down one of these and capture a picture of it as well. So massive missile coming into Ukraine. Here's some more pictures also from next to remains of Russian Kh-55SM and caliber missiles shot down today during a massive attack. So here's some more pictures of these missiles that were incoming into Ukraine from Russia that were shot down. Pretty insane, right? Okay, so now we'll move on to another update from Volodymyr Zelensky. This is the president of Ukraine, and he stated the commander of the Air Force, along with the ministers of Internal Affairs and Energy, provided reports regarding the aftermath of the latest Russian strike targeting our energy infrastructure. In total, approximately 100 strike drones and over 90 missiles of various types were launched. Several regions reported caliber missile strikes with cluster munitions deliberately aimed at civilian infrastructure. The use of these cluster elements significantly complicates the work of our rescuers and power engineers in mitigating the damage, marking yet another vile escalation in Russia's terrorist tactics. In all affected regions, the necessary forces have been deployed. Our power engineers and related services are working tirelessly to restore normalcy and support affected communities. Points of invincibility have been activated to provide essential services. I extend my gratitude to everyone contributing to the restoration of energy supplies. Every such attack underscores the urgent need for advanced air defense systems in Ukraine, systems that save lives rather than sitting idle in storage depots. This is especially critical during the winter months. When protecting our energy infrastructure from Russia's deliberate strikes is vital, we are consistently working with our partners to enhance Ukraine's defense capabilities, ensure timely deliveries, and secure full implementation of agreements, particularly regarding air defense systems, which we most need now. Here's a little photo that shows some emergency crews that were cleaning up an attack as well. We can see lots of smoke here from a recent strike in Ukraine. So definitely a major challenge for Ukraine right now is keeping the lights on, right? I mean, their energy grid has been battered so heavily. I've reported to you guys numerous times in the past from DTEK. It's a major energy company inside of Ukraine reporting that 80% of their facilities have been destroyed. So I'm surprised that Ukraine is able to keep the power on with all these strikes continuously happening. And Russia is definitely picking up the attacks on the energy grid in Ukraine as of lately, okay? So very sad situation. Also from Liskovka, the Russians have the resources to carry out attacks like today until the end of winter, says head of the National Security and Defense Council's Central Intelligence Center, Kovalenko. The Russians did not intend to change their strategy by stockpiling. Ukraine is also striking back and continuing to fight, says Kovalenko. Okay, so we have been hearing from Andriy Kovalenko as well. He's been stating that Russia was preparing to launch major attacks on Ukraine's energy grid, and they've been saving up missiles, so we clearly are seeing that, okay? And like I told you guys, normally what we see with attacks in Ukraine is somewhere around 70 to 100 drones being fired into Ukraine every day. You know, they can mass produce these drones, but the missiles take some time for them to build up their stockpiles. But Andriy Kovalenko has been warning over the last couple weeks that Russia has been stockpiling their missiles, and now we're seeing the effect of the stockpiling with these attacks inside of Ukraine. Also from Denis Shmyhal, he is the Prime Minister of Ukraine. Russia terrorized Ukrainian cities all night long, first with drones, then with missiles. The aggressor targeted energy infrastructure facilities. The inhabitants of some regions are still without electricity. We will restore everything. Energy workers are already working to restore electricity to people's homes. The enemy is trying to plunge Ukraine into darkness. We thank the air defense forces who are preventing these plans from being put into action. Energy workers for their tireless work. We thank our partners for the equipment provided for repairs. At the same time, Ukraine needs more weapons and more air defense systems. This is crucial for resilience and the protection of human lives. So definitely, Ukraine is holding on for dear life right now, trying to prevent all these attacks coming into Ukraine. So just think about the air defense teams alone. You know, they've got a very critical job to do, okay? It starts with them, first line of defense, to take down all these incoming missiles. So that way there is very minimal damage. But from what we have seen today, definitely a major strike that knocked out their energy grid in multiple areas. Okay, also from War Translated Dmitry, while the Kremlin regime bombs Ukraine's energy infrastructure, Russia's own infrastructure shuts down without any bombings. Several districts in the city of Berdsk, located in the Novosibirsk region, have been left without hot water and heating. The city has a population about 100,000 people. So we've been seeing a lot of this, okay? Russia's, their infrastructure inside their country as well is just completely collapsing and falling apart. They have an aging and ailing system that needs lots of revamping and rework to get things in better shape. And we just reported just the other day, there was a hot water pipe that bursted. I think it was in St. Petersburg, and it completely flooded a whole street with hot water. Some people even got burned. So we definitely have been seeing this inside of Russia as well. And just imagine that Russia could be putting all this money that they have from this war into their aging infrastructure inside of Russia as well, but they choose to spend this money on this war and bomb Ukraine. So it's pretty sad and crazy to think about, right? Okay, also from current reports, breaking, Russian President Putin has ordered the military to prepare the Satan II nuclear weapons for combat readiness as soon as possible. RS-28 Sarmat is designed to deliver nuclear warheads to strike targets thousands of miles away in the US and Europe, according to the Daily Mail. Okay, so this was being reported yesterday. There's lots of sources sharing this on X, but there's not too many mainstream news that's really picking this up. But apparently, Vladimir Putin potentially ordered his forces to put the RS-28 Sarmat, also known as the Satan II missile. This is supposed to be a very advanced nuclear missile that Russia currently has. They tested one of these a little while back, and it was a complete failure. It completely blew up in the silo. But yeah, that's what's being reported, is potentially this thing has been put on a high state of readiness and prepared to be launched. So that's kind of scary to think about too, right? So that was some big news that was just starting to break yesterday. Let me know what you think of that down below. Also from Global News, Russia says all of its nuclear weapons are ready for use. So this was apparently from a military official as well, claiming that their nuclear weapons are ready to go. I mean, we know that this Oreshnik missile is going to be used inside of Ukraine pretty soon. I wouldn't be surprised they start deploying this thing heavily before even Donald Trump gets into office. I would think lots of big things are going to happen before January 20th, as we keep hearing that Donald Trump is going to try to end this war and potentially even start doing so as president-elect. Yeah, expect that to be coming very soon, and this is probably why they're also putting their nuclear weapons on high alerts and having them ready to go. As things are definitely escalating over here, and we're seeing Ukraine striking inside of Russian territory a lot as well with U.S. and British supplied weapons. So kind of scary to think about that too. Also from The Informant, Russian President Vladimir Putin discussed the operation of the Oreshnik rocket, noting that in a massive strike, its power would be comparable to that of nuclear weapons. Russia has several Oreshnik systems ready for use and has already begun serial production of these missiles. In response to attacks by Western long-range weapons, Russia will consider continuing combat tests of the Oreshnik. Okay, so just like I told you guys, they're going to be firing more of these inside of Ukraine. And check this information out too. The missile generates temperatures of up to 4,000 degrees in its damaging components, disintegrating everything in the epicenter of the explosion into elementary particles, turning them into dust. Okay, that kind of sounds like a nuclear weapon, or very similar, right? In addition, the Oreshnik can hit highly protected objects even at great depths. Putin has mentioned that new weapons may appear in the Russian arsenal in the near future. So this is very scary, okay? You know, what if Russia starts deploying this thing into Ukraine and starts wiping out massive amounts of Ukrainian troops and maybe cities on the eastern portion of Ukraine? This could get very out of control and crazy very quickly. This thing is not classified as a nuclear weapon, but if this thing can generate temperatures of up to 4,000 degrees, I mean, that is going to inflict some major damage on the eastern side of Ukraine if they actually start deploying this thing. And what if they start launching it into Kiev? Could get very crazy over here, okay? So I wanted to share that information with you. This was a new update regarding this Oreshnik medium-range ballistic missile that Russia is currently mass-producing right now. Also from the Ukrainian Review, now Putin is waving his Oreshnik to thwart Trump's efforts, which will definitely happen after the inauguration, according to Volodymyr Zelensky. Putin wants to escalate the situation now so that Trump doesn't succeed, so that he can't end the war, he said. Let me know what you think about that down in the comment section. I mean, do you think that Vladimir Putin will escalate the situation? I mean, we're already seeing escalation with Ukraine also firing into Russian territory. That was something that at some point I thought would never come, and now it's starting to happen with U.S.-supplied ATACMS and also Storm Shadow we've seen going into Russia. So, you know, is Vladimir Putin going to escalate this war immensely before Donald Trump gets in? Let me know what you think down below. But I think it's highly likely that could be the case. We're already seeing that right now. Okay, also from the Kyiv Independent, these are the indicative estimates of Russia's combat losses as of November 28th, according to the Armed Forces of Ukraine. So here's some of the numbers of Russian losses that are estimated from Ukraine. So once again, very close to 1,500 troops, looks like a little bit less this time. 1,220 troops that Russia lost over the last 24 hours. And 2 APVs, 60 vehicles and fuel tanks, 1 tank only this time. Yesterday, I think it was up to 13. 22 artillery systems, 45 UAVs. So more losses on the Russian side. Looks like a little bit less than normal being reported today. So moving on to one more update from Military News UA. The Russian radio electronic station 48YA6K1 Podalyut was destroyed and temporarily occupied Crimea, reports the main intelligence directorate of the Ministry of Defense of Ukraine. So I think it was just yesterday, the day before, I reported to you guys that there was major strikes taking place inside of the Crimean Peninsula, primarily down in the southwestern portion near Sevastopol. We had a naval base that was attacked down there, and also the Saki airfield and the Baalbek airfield. Okay, so 2 airfields, a naval base coming under attack, and also apparently this information coming out today that a radar station was destroyed also. Okay, so multiple radars we've seen down in Crimea being destroyed. So yet again, another one. And I believe these things are right around 5 million apiece. So they are very expensive radars for Russia. Okay. All right. Also from Max 24, Ukrainian Foreign Ministry spokesman Tiki said they had discussed lowering the age of mobilization with the U.S. I can confirm that this topic is being discussed. I can deny that this is a point of tension or that it is being discussed in a critical or negative way. Okay, so this was being widely reported yesterday. There was a report coming out that Ukraine supposedly was being urged from the United States to lower the mobilization age from 25 down to 18. And that was supposed to allow them to mobilize more troops and move them over to the eastern side of Ukraine, as the Eastern Front right now is really not doing too good for Ukraine. And I heard Ukraine was coming out and basically stating that that's not the solution to the problem, that they actually need more weaponry, that they've got plenty enough troops to fight, but the problem is they need more weapons. So they were kind of saying that there's no point doing that, just give us more weapons. But there is a possibility they could be lowering their mobilization age down to 18 from 25. Okay, so that would definitely mobilize a lot more troops. Also from Nexta, Netherlands announces delivery of 3 Patriot air defense missile launchers to Ukraine. Okay, so that's very big. 3 more Patriot air defense launchers heading over to Ukraine. And yeah, that's gonna be more air defense for them, as they're obviously calling for that. So that's very big. Okay, 3 more to Ukraine. A couple more things to share with you guys from Military News UA. U.S. is preparing a new $725 million military aid package for Ukraine, according to Reuters. The package includes anti-tank weapons, drones, mines, Stinger manpads, and ammunition for HIMARS. The weapons will be taken from U.S. Army warehouses. Okay, so we did hear from Joe Biden recently over the last couple weeks that they were going to be sending over multiple aid packages, I think like one every week until he gets out of office. So looks like more weapons and equipment heading over to Ukraine very soon, so that way they can stay in the fight. So that's some big news coming out today. Also from Max 24 again, South Korea has refused to sell weapons to Ukraine because the legislation prohibits exports to warring countries, according to SBS. So I believe SBS is like a television channel over there in South Korea. It says Umarov flew to the country with a wish list, which included air defense missiles and artillery systems. Ukraine wanted to purchase it. Okay, so looks like South Korea basically denying any transfer of weapons over to Ukraine, and they're not going to allow Ukraine to even buy anything from them. I did report to you guys just about 2 days ago that Rustem Umerov, the defense minister of Ukraine, was going to be traveling to South Korea. He was just there yesterday to meet with the president and other top officials in South Korea. And they were essentially trying to buy some military equipment from South Korea. And it looks like South Korea is saying they can't, as it's due to Ukraine being at war right now. Okay, so that's going to be bad news for Ukraine. Less weapons from them, from the South Koreans. Okay, also from United 24 Media, breaking: Russian troops executed 5 Ukrainian prisoners of war in the Zaporizhzhia region. So this was another huge report coming out today, and there was some pictures and video footage as well that has been surfacing on X, showing 5 more Ukrainian soldiers that were executed from Russian troops. This is in the Zaporizhzhia region this time. We've heard of lots of this happening up in the Luhansk region and even in the Donetsk region. It's happening all over the place inside of Ukraine, okay? Many of these Ukrainian soldiers that choose to surrender to the Russian forces, many of them are being executed, okay? And we have heard as well that some top military officials with Russia have been ordering some of their troops to basically execute any Ukrainian soldiers, that they would not take any prisoners of war. So that's a very crazy situation, and we continue to see this, okay? One last update from Bricktop NAFO. Russians are claiming that Ukraine has fired Neptune missiles towards the Crimean Bridge. Skeptical, but we can pray, right? Okay, this has been reported a lot as of yesterday. Over the last 12 hours, multiple sources were sharing this, that Ukraine may have fired some Neptune missiles and trying to attack the Crimean Bridge. I have not been able to fully verify this. Doesn't look like we had any direct hits on the Kerch Bridge or the Crimean Bridge, but it may have been targeted according to multiple sources here on X. So if I do get more information on that, I will share that with you guys. But it looks like at this time, the bridge has not taken a direct hit. Maybe some of these Neptune missiles that were fired, if they were, maybe they were shot down, is what I'm thinking. As we have heard in the past, that literally Russia stationing Panzer air defense systems on the bridge to protect it. So that could be the case that maybe if it was attacked, maybe they were shot down. But again, if I get more information, I will share that with you at a later time. But that's going to be it for today's update, though, guys. I want to thank you so much for tuning in. And again, a happy Thanksgiving to everybody. This will be the only update that I put out today, as I've got a lot of things to do today. I've got a lot of family stuff going on, a bunch of cooking to do too. So again, I want to thank you so much for tuning in, guys. Enjoy your Thanksgiving and your time with your families. Eat lots of food and turkey. If you got something out of this update, please smash that like button. Also, if you enjoy my content, please consider subscribing down below. Hit the notification bell. That way YouTube can notify you. And with that, hope you all have a great day. Everybody take care and God bless, and we'll see you in the next one.